By the 1960s, Arlington's explosive post-war growth had slowed.
Here there was an historic town that was basically dying in the 1960s.
And why was that? Why was
For all the reasons other inner-ring suburbs did. You know, things were migrating out.
Malls were a threat to the traditional Main Street retail. And I think Arlington in particular was concerned about what was going to happen to their Main Street retail. Wilson Boulevard represented that.
Like Tyson, Seven Corners, Bailey's Crossroads, all these shopping malls. So people got used to going to a shopping mall. So this area here became, you know, second class as far as a shopping area.
Arlington folks were, looking at the larger plan and saw the Metro as a way of really revitalizing the corridor.
We were also confronted with the interstate highway system.
We were absolutely aware that there was a potential growth in Fairfax, Loudoun, and we knew perfectly well that all the cars had to come through Arlington to get to D.C. There wasn't anywhere else you could do it.
A lot of planners were thinking that the best thing to do would be to just build roads everywhere. And these were plans that were on the books in the 1950s. They got a lot of impetus in 1956 with the Interstate Highway Act that promised 90% federal funding for these massive superhighways. And one of the proposals was just to build highways everywhere, in which case D.C. would have looked a lot more like Los Angeles.
It was apparent at that time that we could be carved up. We'd already had some experience. We built a new junior high school. But Shirley Highway came along and just destroyed the possibility of having an effective junior high school because it cut the community, it cut it off from its school population.
The highway lobby were very concerned that the initial plans for rapid transit in Washington would have scaled back existing highway plans in order to pay for rapid transit.
It began to come to a boiling point about 1961 or 62.
There was a congressman named William Natcher, and he occupied a tremendously powerful position as the chairman of the House Appropriations Subcommittee for the District of Columbia,
which posed a major hurdle in attempting to get a subway or a metro system. I hate to say it, but he was in the pocket of the highway builders industry.
Congressman Natcher repeatedly stopped funding for the rapid transit system.
I couldn't believe it. It was the perils of Pauline. We would come in one day to a meeting, and there would be a lot of sad faces and concerned faces, and we would be taken into executive session by the general manager, and he would say, Representative Natcher is upset because of XYZ, and the funding is off. No federal funding for Metro.
And he came very close to killing the program entirely.
We almost didn't have it. I mean, there was a standoff. I mean, it was 8 or 9 years after the plan was approved before it started construction beyond Roswell.
John F. Kennedy came in with a very different idea, not only about how the federal government should work, but also how the Washington region should work. And so he appointed people who thought like him, local folks who said that maybe they didn't want these massive highways going through neighborhoods. One of these people was Darwin Stolzenbach of Montgomery County. In a lot of ways, Stolzenbach was a key figure in proposing that rail transit be a centerpiece of planning in the region. The main response was neglect. Arlington was an exception. Arlington officials were among those who were most attentive to Stolzenbach's briefing and most interested in what he had to say.
The metro, when they began to talk metro plan, we were for it, because that is the only way we're going to escape having highways.
But Arlington couldn't escape highways entirely. Congressman Natcher, still powerful, linked funding for Metro to the approval of Interstate Highway 66 through the heart of Arlington.
And the citizens of Arlington County were vehemently opposed to it.
There was just tremendous opposition to turning Arlington into an easy commute for Fairfax County.
People who lived out in the hinterlands, no matter where, they just wanted to get through here to get to Washington. And we lived here, you know. We were in the way and we weren't going to move.
Natcher's offer was simple. He would release the funds for Metro if Arlington would agree to allow Interstate 66 to slice through its neighborhoods.
So we had to essentially cave on 66.
We played ball, gave them some, and they were happy with what we gave them, and we took what we got.
The county felt it had no choice. It had to have Metro. But Arlington did not accept the planned route for the interstate through Roslyn, an area where the county hoped to launch its rebirth.
They wanted to run 66 right flat down what would have been the middle of Roslyn, which would have destroyed any possibility of development. And we've got to give a lot of credit to the man who was then the head of our highway division, Stoneburner, Mr. Stoneburner. Stoneburner got them to shift 66, so it moved a little bit to the side and gave us between 30 and 40 acres for redevelopment.